guys, it's ProdigyRex here, back from our video, and today we will be reading Lunch Money Chapter 15, Lessons. Hope you enjoy, and smash the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell for more content. So let's begin. Chapter 15, Lessons. Friday night was at the Kenton family house was Friday movie night, but tonight Ross and Edward had gone out with their high school friends, and that meant he got to pick, which was fun with Greg. That meant he got to pick the movie. By 7:30, Greg had his mom and dad half the couch and a big bowl of popcorn, a bottle of root beer, and good old Indiana Jones all to himself. The movie started with a bang between the action and music and sound effects. Greg barely noticed his mom getting up to answer it. She came back to the family room and said, "Greg, it's Mara Shaw." Which why his eyes still on the screen. Greg said, "What?" She put the movie on pause. When the room was quiet, she said, "It's Mara Shaw at the door." "Mara?" said Greg. "What's she want?" His mom shrugged. "She just asked you if you were home." Greg took a quick sip of his root beer and took off the couch. Mara stood by the door. She held a big brown mailing envelope. Before Greg could say a word, she handed it to him. "New drawings. I did them after school. I made it, and you can have a look at them. I made more, telling you what to do, how I'm doing. And I know I've got the size right because they're just like the ones in your crayon story. I use good art paper too because I know you have to put ink on them. But you have to tell me everything else." Did Mark ask, "Is it bad time?" "No." Did she say, "I'm leaving here so you can take a look?" "No." She stood there, trampling her foot, as bossy as ever. Greg hated cool popcorn, and he wished he kept his mouth shut about Mara's pictures. He ripped open the envelope and yanked out the picture so he could whip of them. Then he could push this intruder out the door and get back to his movie. For Mara's first picture grabbed him in, and she had done the cover art. The picture focused on in the unicorn, the long twisted horn poking all the way out to the word unicorn in the title. A nice touch. But best of all, Mara had drawn the dark woods with the scary bear outline of trees in the distance, the tower, and in the bottom right corner of the picture, the ogre lurked in the undergrowth, eyes huge, jaws open. Greg nodded. "Great cover. Really, this is great." Without thinking, she sat on the leg-half carpet, flipped on the next picture. When the picture one which was picture one, it shows where the unicorn first realized she's lost in the upper right corner to the lower left corner, which made two panels shaped like triangles. The top panel showed the frightened creature walking down a forest path, then looking back over her shoulder. The dividing path was a jagged lightning bolt, and between upwards, close up of the unicorn's eye looking at the storm clouds, with the woods and darkness crowding in. Still nodding, Greg looked at the third picture and said, "This is good too. Mara has figured out how to use every bit of the space. A big challenge on such tiny pages. One larger panel had helped the reader understand the whole scene, and a smaller zoomed in on the most dramatic details. She had also trimmed the story down into a real comic book. The words were penciled into speech balloons. "Greg," it was his dad, "should we hold the movie?" No, it's okay," Greg called back. "I've seen it, and I have helped a little. It's some drawings. We'll be down in the playroom. I'll be there later." At that moment, Mara's sketches were a lot more interesting than the Temple of Doom. Greg wanted to try inking one or two of them. "Here." He tried all the drawings back to Mara and pointed her down to the basement. "Stuff. Go down there and get some stuff from my room." 3 minutes later, Greg carried a bin of art materials into the playroom. He dragged a chair over to the work area on the ping pong table. He took Mara's cover out of the envelope and hurried down upstairs to the family room. Ignored his mom and dad in the movie. He made 2 copies of the cover of the practice sheets. Greg trotted back down to the playroom, sat down, chose a brush, dipped it in a bottle of Indian ink, and began to experiment. The unicorn was going to be white, so that meant everything around it had to be darkened. He loved working with sharp contrasts of black and white. He put down the brush, picked up a pen, and dipped it into the metal point into ink. Time to add some detail to the unicorn's mane. Greg stood back up his behind him, creaking up the neck to see. Greg ignored her. She pushed to the right side, put up her hands on the ping pong table, and leaned in closer. "Hey!" said Greg. "Don't shake the table." "Well, what am I supposed to do?" she asked. "Do whatever you want. Watch TV, go home, but don't shake the table. Here, take this paper and a ruler. There are some pencils and erasers, and make some more drawings. You can sit over there." Mars set up a little workspace on the lower table in front of the TV. She sat down on the floor with her back against the couch, facing Greg. She shuffled her envelopes of papers. She got out her story script and found the page she wanted to work on. She used the ruler to draw the boundaries of the page. Then she made a few marks on the paper. She looked at them and erased them all. She may never stop, but she couldn't stop up to rub them all out again. She couldn't get into it, and she knew why. Sitting on the floor in Greg Kenton's playroom was just too weird. Mara got up quietly and tiptoed over to the next ping pong table. Oh. He stood and looked at Greg's elbow, watching him as he eyed tiny lines into the curled pen. When it looked like a good time to speak, she said, "I forgot to tell you that I really want to do all the lettering myself." Greg looked at her and made a face. "Well, I can't be conserved. You used before. It's hard to read, especially if it's small. How's your printing?" "Are you kidding?" said Mara. "Mrs. Layton in 3rd grade, she had to force me to use conservative, so I was good at printing." Greg reached for a lettering pen, the kind with a point almost like a needle. She unscrewed the tab and slid the lined paper toward Mara. "Here, this is the kind of pen you have to use. Don't push too hard or you'll wreck it. Try writing something." Mara made a few marks to get the feel. The pen point, and then she wrote, "This pen is different, but I like it." Greg looked at the sentence and nodded. "Pretty good. It was actually neater and clearer than his own lettering. He had been working for his for 2 years." He said, "But you have to get practice and get a little small. You have to keep watching as how many words you use. The fewer the better." "I know that," Mara said. "Oh, so now expert?" "No," snapped Mara, "but I'm not dumb. I really get it how these pictures tell most of the story, so don't tell me like I'm an idiot." Greg bit back a perfect insult. He put a point on his table and said, "So go be a genius over there. Okay? I'm trying to get something done." For the next 30 minutes there was no sound, only the scratch streaking of pens or pencils on the paper. Greg's mom came if they wanted something to eat, but she stopped halfway down the stairs and creeped back up. She didn't want to interrupt because what she saw reminded her of 2 kindergartens at art tables, each child bent over some work completely unaware of the other, which wasn't quite true. Yes, Mara was working on her new mini comic book page, and she was being quiet in the creative zone of her mind, but in the back of her thinking, she wished that she could just lean over and behind Greg. Greg watched her lay those brush strokes and impossibly thin lines of ink. The kid was creative, smart too, and almost nice sometimes when he had apologized in the playroom earlier that day. Even if they were still funny, they'd make her buy that ice cream sandwich which was part of the deal. Mara had to admit, sometimes Greg was sort of cute, and Greg hadn't forgotten that when the Mara was sitting 10 feet away. She glanced at her every few minutes, just flick her eyes as if to make sure she was still there. Her talent was amazing, and she seemed willing to try anything. Of course, any minute now she would make him go nuts again and do something you want to strangle him. But she wasn't trying to rule the world. She just kept her big mouth shut and just wrinkling her nose at the drawing. Mara wasn't bad to have around. What do you think about a girl who loved comics? How cool was that? Almost an hour later, Greg blew the silence. They said, 2 pages and the cover, all inked. You getting anything done?" Mara nodded stiffly. 2 more pages. She walked over and laid them on the ping pong table. Greg stood up and pulled Mara's new pen and clinches closer. He reached over and spread the work over it inking in front of Mara. They both leaned over to explain each other's work. They were both impressed with what they saw, but there wasn't any gushing. Yeah, those are okay, Greg said. Marna, yours too. The phone rang and Mar bet you anything that's my mom. It was, and Mar had to leave. Here, said Greg. Take these home and do the lettering. You can borrow my pen. Mar nodded and Greg sat down back to work. She said, I'm gonna bring more pictures over tomorrow. Greg shrugged, whatever. Then he thought for a second and said, wait, don't come until about 2. He promised to wash both the Jansen's cars before afternoon and had the Saturday chores around home. Plus, so both his brothers might be gone around 2. They're always worth avoiding. Mar gathered her things together and left. Greg didn't say go to the front door with her. She didn't say goodbye. He was too busy. Greg stayed on the ping pong table for almost another hour. He went back to say goodnight to his mom and dad, and he finished inking 2 more pages. He laid down on the bed in the patterns that the street light and tree branches made on the ceiling. Greg thought about the evening. Inking Mar's drawings had been so different from working on his own pictures. He felt careful not to add too much of hers, careful not to add too many of his own ideas into it then, and careful not to change her drawing style. He had to admit the results were good. But as he drifted off to the edge of sleep, there was one more thing he would not admit. Admitting one other thing would be too dangerous, because Greg wouldn't admit that he was almost half glad about Mara coming back to work on a comic again on Saturday at 2. And that's the end of chapter 15. Hope you enjoy and smash the subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more content. And have a good day. Bye bye.